Welcome back to Creative Thinkers. My name is Miguel Valenzuela, and today we have a special guest, as we always do, but now we're getting somebody from out of town. We have Kristina Kastl, who is a lawyer in Dallas, and she is the president of the Dallas Bar Association. Welcome, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. So I want to thank you, first of all, for traveling out here to talk to us about who you are as an individual. You know, you were here at Creative Thinkers thinking about how one thinks outside the box. A lot of times we might not think that an attorney may have this kind of outside the box thinking, but first I want to know, and we want to know, where you came from. Are you from El Paso originally?
I'm super happy to be back here in El Paso, my hometown. I lived here from the time I was 5 until the time I was 25.
Wow. What did your parents do? Because we were talking earlier and you had said that they did something that was out of the ordinary when you were growing up, which kind of influenced you in many ways. What was that?
Well, I think I have a knack for business because my parents owned a traveling portable carnival.
And how in the world did that help you? What exactly is a traveling portable carnival?
Well, it's games and rides that you see in shopping centers and at fiestas around town. So Fiesta de las Flores, Fiesta in Clint, San Elizario, we'd go and play little fiestas. They also traveled around New Mexico and Arizona and Colorado. I got to work in games. I got to know what profit and loss is.
Right.
And that you need to make more than you spend.
Right.
So growing up at a young age, as early as 5, I remember helping in the popper where they sold cotton candy, popcorn, Cokes, those type of things, and having to make change. And you know, if you go out and you spend $20 to buy supplies and you only make $10, then you didn't make $10.
You're losing, right?
Right.
So how in the world does that help an attorney figure things out?
Well, I graduated law school in 1999 from Texas Tech, and then I went to work for 2 firms, and I got to kind of manage their business. I got to run their business, but on their nickel. But I was conscientious about the costs of their business. So I ran an office in Wichita Falls, and I ran an office in Arlington, Texas, before I decided to start my own law firm. So it just taught me that you have to market, you have to let people know what you do and how you do it, and that you're open for business.
And having a business now and being part of a business when you were a child, how did that groom you into what you were doing? Because I would assume that being part of a carnival, you kind of have to be a person that acts things out. You know, you have to put on this persona, which may be something that you do. I'm not sure. Is that something that helped out?
I think to be a litigator, to be a trial lawyer, you definitely have to be able to talk to all kinds of people, because picking a jury is something that I am actually very good at. Because of my experiences, I think growing up first in El Paso at St. Joseph's, then going to public school at Canutillo, elementary, junior high, and high school, and then going to UTEP, I got to meet a wide variety of people. But I never really experienced the type of people that I got to experience when I got older and went to work for my aunt in California.
What did you do in California?
I worked in a long-range basketball game.
What in the world? Explain that.
Well, it's a game where you bounce a basketball and throw it through a hoop. And I had to get people to play my game because I worked on commission, sort of. I mean, I worked for the good of the family, but it was a commission type
So
pay.
still through the carnival thing,
Yeah,
but
still
now
through the
you're
carnival.
focusing on a basketball game.
Right. So the more I got people to play my game, the more money the company
So you
made.
had to hustle.
Right. But you also had to learn to talk to a lot of different people.
Right.
And believe it or not, I used to be shy. And
I say the same thing, and look at me now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think part of it is growing as an individual and taking from the experiences in life and pushing those forward to what you're doing now. So how in the world do you make that connection, right? Kind of a small city girl doing kind of a little carnival thing to being president of the Dallas Bar Association.
Well, one day at a time. It really is not something, I feel it kind of came natural for me, although I am told that this is a very exclusive group, or a very, very small group. So it is an honor to be part of the group. But, you know, bar work came easily. I like people. That's why I love the carnival. I love to interact with different types of people.
Right.
I like to participate in public service and help those that maybe don't know as much as I do about how to maneuver the legal system, and helping people know that they're capable of doing so much more than sometimes they see for themselves. And I think that's part of my job as a lawyer. I have clients that come in and they aren't working to their full potential. And even though that's not really my job as a plaintiff's personal injury attorney,
Right.
a lot of times I'll tell my clients, you need to go back to school. It's just something I like to do.
Really?
And being around different people and coming from a family where my mother always really encouraged education, I think helps.
Yeah, same here.
And
Which I agree with.
self-sufficiency. Yeah.
Right.
Self-sufficiency. But education's not the be-all, end-all. You can be
True.
an exceptionally successful person with a high school education and a real estate degree or a real estate license.
Right.
So,
Or anything else, I think, for that matter.
Right.
But
Plumber.
one of the keys, I think, yeah, that's exactly right. Whatever you do, one of the keys is to see things a little bit differently, right?
Right.
Once you start to see things differently, then you're able to move forward with new ideas. Do you have any examples of things like that?
well, so I'm wearing a pink suit today because I always like myself in black because I think black is slimming
So professional too, right?
and professional.
Right.
But I decided when I started my firm, I was very traditional. I did golds and greens and blacks because that's what the men around us did.
Now you're talking about attire.
Attire, but more than that, not just attire. My law firm colors are pink and white
Wow.
now. They started out as gold and green, and my furniture started out as gold and green and being very traditional, old school law firm colors. And then about 2012, 6 years after I started my business, I decided to see that I was one of very few women-owned personal injury law firms in the state of Texas. And I decided to market myself. I'd always had the Kastl as my logo because my last
Right.
name is spelled Kastl, but it is
Right.
pronounced Castle.
Right.
My grandparents, through the carnival business, had a fairy tale castle that
Oh,
they
really?
used on the side of their trucks and their equipment.
So that was part of their logo also.
It was.
So that's another connection.
Right. So I
Absolutely.
took their fairy tale castle, and when I decided to open my own firm, I went and found a place that had a clip art of a block castle. So I thought that was more strong and powerful, more like a lawyer, less fairy tale-ish. But then 6 years in, I decided to just own being a woman and market myself as a female-owned and operated law firm. And it makes me stand out among lots of very, cookie-cutter, professional law firms. So I'm a little bit loud and a little bit more fun than a lot of law firms.
How has that helped you?
Well, I stand out. People say, I opened up the phone book and I saw your pink ad. This was
Really?
this was originally back in the phone book.
Yeah,
But on Instagram or Facebook or local bar associations, I join lots of organizations because I get to meet lots of people, and they remember me because of the castle. I had one lawyer that was trying to hire me, and he goes, "Hey, Castle." He couldn't remember my name, but he remembered that logo.
Really?
Yeah.
How in the world did it end up that your last name is Kastl?
Oh, that's my dad.
That's kind of a crazy story too.
Well, not really. It's my dad and my mom's name, and
So
it's
so they took the Kastl from their last name.
correct.
Wow.
So my grandparents are Czech. My dad is Czech. It's my dad and mom and grandparents. Well, it's my dad and grandparents' last name that my mom took. And I am married, but I did not take my husband's name because
Oh, okay.
I met
We
him
need to keep
after.
the castle up.
Well, yeah, I met him after I started the business, and I said, unless
Right.
somebody has a more marketable name than my last name, I'll probably keep going by my business name because it's Chrissy Kastl works.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think one of the most impressive things and important things is to note how you have kind of catapulted yourself by using your last name, because a lot of people sometimes find that they're not comfortable with who they are as individuals, and it seems as though you are very comfortable with who you are, and as you said, you kind of grasped it and went with it. Do you think that it was the right decision?
Absolutely. And I think that if everyone can learn to be their authentic self, it will make them exceptionally good at whatever they choose to do. So I don't know if I know for a fact my mother instilled be the best that you can at whatever you do and have confidence in who you are and where you came from. And so she has always instilled that in all of us. I'm the oldest of 7 children. I'm the only girl. For years, my mom used to dress me like my brothers. And I'm like, Mom, I am a girl. And she goes, yes, but I can keep track of you all that way. But I really have embraced being a girl. I like makeup. I like clothing. And I think some people it was kind of a silly movie, but I think if you watch Legally Blonde, there's a lot you can learn.
Lots of pink.
Lots of pink, because when she decided to be her authentic self, she was actually quite exceptional at being a lawyer.
Did you take influences from that?
I didn't think I did, but then when I went back and looked at some of the movie after I created my firm, maybe I did. It was not intentional and it wasn't deliberate at the time. But now in my office we have a Legally Blonde room.
Really?
And we have a Lady Justice room, and we have a Tombstone room, and we have a Wonder Woman room. So we've named all our rooms.
Now, do they have like characters or pieces or icons from those movies
Yes.
in there? Really?
We do.
So I feel like that's very creative. When you came up with that concept, was it something you said, okay, I've got to make some changes here. I'm coming from this very traditional kind of focus, and I want to completely change myself. Did creativity play a part in that?
Well, sure, to some degree, and I wanted to be unique, and I wanted to be my authentic self. And I went to a lot of charity auctions and bid on a Legally Blonde poster.
Really?
A display of the Tombstone hat, Lady Justice, and we just went searching on the internet for that. But I wanted to be unique, and I wanted to be true to who I am, and we kind of just took what we had and made the best of it. We got a whole bunch of black furniture free, and I really wanted everything to be gold and silver. My husband joined the firm 3 years ago as a non-lawyer, and he said, no, this furniture is free and we're going to take it, and it's going to be black in here, at least some. So we have black furniture, but we have a lot of pinks and grays and golds as well.
And why do you have different rooms? Are these like conference rooms?
Right, so we have 2 client meeting rooms. One's Legally Blonde, one's Wonder Woman, and then we have our big main conference room is Lady Justice, and we had a competition among the employees to name the conference room.
Nice.
And we have a lady that's kind of a modern Wonder Woman-esque looking Lady Justice. And so they decided, we thought about Warrior Woman, but we thought Lady Justice fit the whole theme of the office better. And then Tombstone, it's a movie, and Jerry Spence, who is a world-renowned trial lawyer and teaches trial lawyers, he likes that movie because you talk about the villain first. You get to see the villain first. So we put Tombstone because we had a china cabinet that someone left in the office and they didn't want anymore. We had a brown table that was, didn't cost us anything. We have a friend that has loaned us a couch on permanent loan because she didn't have room for it. But if she ever needs it again, I have to give it back to her.
Right.
So I'm storing it for her free of charge, and she's letting us use it free of charge. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, I think, right? How important is it for you to be a successful woman?
I think very important. And I think it's important for everyone to be successful. But I think because I'm the oldest of 7 and the only woman, and because my dad and I'm a lot more like my dad than my mom, although I get along with my mom much better than I do with my dad on most days.
So personality-wise, I guess we're talking.
Personality-wise and just business-wise and people-wise. But I think working in a man's world, plaintiff's personal injury world, is a man's world. And
why do you say that, first of all?
Because it was hard to be a woman working in a male-dominated field. So when I started my own business, I wanted to make sure I could do what I needed to do to be good at at my chosen profession.
Right.
And so right now I've tried almost 90 cases to jury verdict. I have tried 90 cases to jury verdict. I've won a majority of them. And I think I've done what I set out to do. I'm a female-owned plaintiff's personal injury trial lawyer who happens to love being involved in bar service. And bar service translates into...
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, because I don't think a lot of people know what that is or what it entails, but we've all heard of the bar, right? You're an attorney, you should be part of the association. Like, I didn't know that everybody had or didn't have to be.
So in the state of Texas, it is a mandatory bar, and all lawyers have to be part of the Texas Bar Association.
Okay.
State Bar of Texas. But in Dallas...
And you can't practice unless you are part of that.
Correct.
Okay.
But in El Paso and in Dallas, the bar is voluntary. It's my understanding that 50% of the lawyers in El Paso are members of the Dallas Bar Association.
Of the Dallas Bar?
I fibbed. I misspoke.
Oh, I was going to say
50% of the lawyers in El Paso are members of the El Paso Bar Association.
Okay.
And 75% of the lawyers in Dallas are members of the Dallas Bar Association. In Dallas, though, we have 11,400 members of the Dallas Bar Association.
Right.
So that means we have more than 11,000, 25% more than 11,400
Right.
members. So there's quite a few lawyers in Dallas. So to be president of the Dallas Bar, I'm only the 113th president of the bar in its 150-year history, and I am the 10th woman in the history of the
Wow.
Dallas Bar.
So that's a big feat, I think.
It's an accomplishment. I
Absolutely.
think. But I think the bar and the legal field in general is more accessible to women than it used to be. And I think that the Dallas Bar is really conscientious and inclusive. We have what we call sister or affinity bars, where we have a dedicated bar to the African American lawyers in the
wow.
community called J.L. Turner Legal Association. And we have the Dallas Women Lawyers Association. We have the DHBA, which is the Dallas Hispanic Bar Association.
Oh, wow.
The DABA, Dallas Asian American Bar Association. And then we are about to add to our board the LGBTQ
Right.
Association. And so we really try to give specialized bars, and like there's more women on the Dallas Bar Board, I believe, currently than men.
Wow.
But as a generalized board member, you represent the membership as a whole.
Correct.
As a representative of the Dallas Women Lawyers Association, you represent issues specific to your group, to the women in your group, or to the young lawyers in your group.
Right.
So I forgot to mention the DAYL, which is the Dallas
is?
Association of Young Lawyers. So they also have a seat on the Dallas Bar Board.
And how does all of this work? What exactly is the Dallas Bar Board, and what do you guys do?
So we are a board, we're a fiduciary board like any other, but we basically provide, I guess our mission statement on the Dallas Bar is to provide good relations among lawyers, judges, and the community, while providing CLE. In Dallas, we're very lucky because we own a building called the Arts District Mansion. Some very forward.
Sounds beautiful already.
It is absolutely fabulous. My husband and I had our wedding reception there.
Nice.
And I researched all kinds of venues, and that really by far was one of the best. So it's downtown Dallas. It's a beautiful mansion. At one point it was a funeral home.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Very different.
And there was something about Bonnie and Clyde. I think they might have hid out there or
Really?
buried there, or both.
You never know, right?
There's a story there. But it's right in the heart of downtown. And now we have Clyde Warren Park, which is not, it's not the plaza, but it's a nice park in the middle of downtown Dallas. And it's a historical building. It hopefully will stay there forever. We rent it out for parties, functions. People have weddings there, but every day we have CLE and meetings, and then there's a culinaire is what we call. Culinaire is the on-site caterer that handles
Really?
all, so we can come in and have lunch. And then the first Tuesday of the month, we have a happy hour Tuesday night. At
Beautiful.
The
It sounds like a fun place, that's for sure.
It's fun. So I do bar work because it's fun. Makes life as a lawyer more fun.
And I'm sure you make a lot of connections. What do you think has been, I guess, your biggest gift to being part of the bar?
The friends I've made.
Really?
Yes, by far. The friends, the exceptionally wonderful people. And it's interesting, coming from El Paso, coming from a carnival background, being a trial lawyer, and then being a lawyer in general, I think all of us have gotten a bad rap. El Paso,
Explain.
Texas, well, growing up in Cananeo, Texas, some of the smartest, best people I've ever met in my entire life, I met in Cananeo, Texas. Some of the smartest, best people I've ever met in my life, I met at St. Joseph's Elementary School. Some of them are actually here in the room today watching what you and I are doing.
Right.
I've known some of these people since I was 7 years old.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beautiful things is having this little kind of nucleus that you can grow from. They absolutely nurture you, I think, which is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. When you were young, do you think it was your father that influenced you more, your mother? Was it an even thing? And how did they influence you?
I think my teachers, my friends, My mother, most definitely. My father, definitely. My brothers. I think if I'd been an only child, I'd be a completely different person.
Absolutely, I think the dynamic that one builds with siblings is very important to who you become as an individual. Do you think that you adopted this kind of very important and strong persona as a female because you had 6 other siblings that were all boys?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I had to be the strongest, the fastest, and I was until about 7th grade. Maybe, no, until about 9th grade. I was the
Right.
strongest and the fastest. But sure, I mean, I was quiet, I was shy, I was insecure. My brother Frank liked to have fun, go places, and just was always the life of the party, the one willing to try new things and do new things. And it took me a while, but I saw him and I was like, well, you have a lot of fun. I need to start doing more of that.
Which I think is very interesting because it sounds like you're having a lot of fun being the president of the Bar Association.
The Dallas Bar Association is one of the most enjoyable roles I've ever had. We have exceptionally good staff. I am just a cog in a wheel, and I am here for a year. And the Dallas Bar is an organization that really loves its members and really has done a lot to honor its officers and especially the presidents of the organization.
So we've already talked a little bit about your life, and we've talked a little bit about you being an attorney. What kind of advice can you give the public as far as maybe looking at things differently? I repeat this a lot, but really thinking outside the box, because I think it's very important for people to understand that they can't limit themselves. What kind of advice can you give the public?
Well, it sounds crazy. Justice Eva Guzman spoke to the Texas women lawyers, and I'm a past president of Texas Women Lawyers, and I brought them to El Paso for a conference about 3-4 years ago, and then last weekend I brought the Dallas Bar here as well, and El
Cool.
Paso is fabulous. Downtown's awesome.
Yeah.
But going back to your question, I think Eva Guzman said, I want to share the song with you, and it was I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack. And I think that song speaks for how we all should live our lives. You should always dance. You should always take the opportunity. And right now the song lyrics are escaping me, but ultimately, feel small when you stand beside the ocean, believe in God, or at least in a higher power, work hard, play hard, and take chances. And remember that your friends can provide you opportunity, strength, and guidance. And so I know I've relied heavily on friends throughout my life. Friends that helped me proofread paper in college, friends who told me, you can do this, you are strong, you look fine. Live life to the fullest and be afraid, but every time you do something in fear, you usually land on your feet on the other side.
Yeah, and one of the most important things is to just keep moving forward, which is something that I see that you have done. What's in the future for you?
I don't know. Maybe the state bar board, maybe a political run for a local, a state, or a national office. Maybe teaching at a law school or a university. I'm not really sure.
What do you think you want to do? You've got so many options. You've done so many things already. I feel like from what you've been speaking about, teaching is something that you may want to get into. What do you think you would do if you did that?
Well, and that's what's great. Being a lawyer and being an entrepreneur, I've gotten to do a lot. I get to teach, I get to act, I get to perform, I get to manage money, I get to manage people, I get to be a marketer. So I don't know. I mean, teaching at the college or the law school level might be something I'd do at some point. Maybe a trial advocacy class. Continuing my business might be okay. If I could do anything, I'd like to go on the Today Show and take over Savannah Guthrie's job.
If you were able to do that, what would you tell the audience?
That life is good, and even when you fall, you have to just get back up and keep on trying. And sometimes life doesn't turn out exactly like you think it will, but if you keep your goals in sight, you might go off track, but you can get back to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think it's very important. For me, for example, I always try to focus on certain things Even when I was young, I tried to focus as much as I could, even though I have ADD and it's very difficult for me. But I tried to do that. Do you think that as a child, this was something that you wanted to do? Not specifically be the president of the Dallas Bar, but you know, where you ended up? Or did you have a lot of different routes that took you to this place?
No, I think that I've always been a leader. And maybe not by choice, just by necessity.
Being the oldest.
Being the oldest. Then even in school, I was a leader. I talked all my friends in 4th grade into signing up for violin. And then I left to go to public school, and they're like, what? We're stuck with this violin now.
I love it.
So I just have always been an includer. I try to bring people in. There's enough success for all of us.
Absolutely.
We need to help build each other up. We don't need to tear each other down. We need to remember that none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. But if you get up every day and do your best to come up with solutions for problems and don't let your problems paralyze you, then things have turned out for me a lot better than I thought they would 20 years ago when I first graduated law school. And now I think that things are not perfect, and you never know, things could go south, but I feel like my life's on an upward trajectory. And I think that the people of the Dallas Bar, the connections I've made in El Paso, the strong family that I've had, and let's be clear, my family's not perfect.
Right.
No one's
As
is.
no one's is, right.
But we need to realize when we are blessed with good people. And so I've had great people in my life, and I'm super excited to see what the future holds. I've got 10 more months as the president of Dallas Bar. It's already
do everything that you can,
quick.
right?
Yes, I'm trying to do everything that I can to make it the best bar, but it's already pretty good, so I'm pretty lucky to be part of it.
Just keep that ball rolling, I think. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, somebody got a legal issue, how in the world do they get a hold of you?
Well, my last name is spelled Kastl. We have a website, www.kastl.com, or they can email me at kkastl@castlelaw.com. That's KASTLLAW.com. Or you can call the office at 214-821-0230, or my cell is 214-797-5393. Text is better if you call my cell.
There you go. So that's the way to get a hold of you. I wanted to thank you for taking the time out and literally traveling so far away just to talk to us, because you were very insightful. Did you have fun?
Well, thank you, Miguel. It was awesome. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Our pleasure. So I wanted to thank our viewers for again tuning in to see this special guest. And again, my name is Miguel Valenzuela, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you.